Hi everyone. Here we are again. 30 days, 30 minutes of riding. So congratulations on being here. We are super excited to have you all here and super excited to be working with you through this and participating ourselves. So for the first 6 minutes here, we're just going to ease into our warm-up, especially for those of you who are just hopping on your bikes now. So starting nice and easy, keeping your leg speed up over 90, closer to 100 if you can. And we'll start with about a 30%, 3 out of 10 effort. And over the first 6 minutes here, we'll work up to 50%. Start putting some pressure on our legs. But for right now, let's just get our legs moving, a little blood flowing. Let the coffee sink in. If it's morning for you, keeping that gear nice and light. So you've been on your bikes in some way, shape, or form for quite a few days now. They say it takes about 21 days to form a habit. So you're probably at least a third of the way into that. And whether that means you'll continue little rides for every day or just some form of movement for 30 minutes every day on your off days, it's an awesome habit. We are really enjoying bringing all these skills and sort of bike adventures, I guess, that can all take place in 30 minutes to you. So we hope you're getting a lot out of this. So we are 2 minutes into our first 6 minutes. Let's start bringing the gear up to about a 4 out of 10. Still keeping that cadence nice and high. So your revolutions per minute, your leg speed, your cadence, all the same. It means the same thing. We refer to it usually as cadence or RPM here. For those of you who aren't able to monitor that at home, just follow my legs. I will be going the range of the prescribed cadence that I'm referring to. So right now I'm at about 95. Should be able to breathe nicely here, take a few sips of water. We're just warming up, getting the cracks and kinks and lactic acid flushing. Today we are focusing on RPM. And you may recall we began some RPM skills a few days ago with some RPM ramps, moving up cadence, seeing what our legs could do as we moved our cadence up without touching our gears. So today we're going to be doing some more RPM sets, experimenting with what our legs can do at various turnover. And we'll get more into the science of that in a few minutes. Let's start moving your gear up to about 50%. We're in our last 2 minutes of the warm-up here. So 50%, 5 out of 10. Just want to feel a little pressure under your feet. Still talking. Still able to drink. And really you should be able to drink through most of the workouts. Your breathing should be nice and easy still, not too of a high heart rate. The first thing we're going to do is a cadence build. So what we're going to do is we're going to, for the first interval, start at an 80 RPM at an easy gear, moving up to 100, and then holding 100 for a minute. And then we're going to start another interval at 90 and a third interval at 95. So I will talk you through that. We're going to begin that in just over a minute. This is all cadence work. We're going to keep our gear even easier than it is right now. We're going to move it back down to sort of that 3 or 4 out of 10. So just the last minute here, pushing some legs out, feeling a little pressure under your quadriceps, pushing down, a little pull up with your hamstrings and your hip flexors on the back side of the stroke. Settling in, nice and loose. Cadence is perhaps one of the best tools any cyclist has in their quiver. You can use it for so many challenges that you'll face in all forms of cycling. It can get you up over little pitches. It can help you catch the back of a group. It can help phase out fatigue in your legs. So it's a great skill to work on. All right, let's drop your gear back down to somewhere between 3 and 4 out of 10. Something relatively easy that you'll be able to push comfortably at 100 plus RPMs. And we'll drop your cadence down to 80. Again, those who are following my legs, I am getting down there right now. Okay, you should be in and around 80 RPM. We're going to start now, over the next minute, building to 100. I'll call out every 10 seconds. You should be moving up at least 5 RPM each time. And we're at just over 10 seconds, moving up through 85. That's 20 seconds, moving up through 90. And slowly moving up towards 100. We're at 40 seconds now. You should be pretty much at 100, in the high 90s. Your watts have perhaps climbed up towards your 60%. We're not touching that gear. You're at 100 RPM. Let's hold this for the next minute. Look up the road. See what this feels like to your legs. You can glance down occasionally and make sure you're still in that 100 range, or just follow my legs. I'm bang on 100 right now. We want to put this into our muscle memory. We want to be able to increase our RPMs just up a little bit for our longer rides. And by being comfortable up in and around 100, it'll make 90 to 91, 92 feel that much more efficient. Nice work. And let's drop your cadence now down to 90. Let's find 90 without touching your gear. We're going to begin this cadence ramp again in just over 10 seconds. So we're at 90 RPM to start, building up to 105. In 3, 2, 1. Your gear is still nice and easy, somewhere in that 3 to 4 out of 10. And we're moving up through the low 90s. We're at 20 seconds, moving up through 95. Up through 96. We're at 30 seconds, heading towards 100. Our watts are moving up, but don't touch your gears. 15 seconds to go. You should be getting close to 105. If you're not there already. Your watts are Probably in and around 60-ish%, 60, 70%, maybe a little less for bigger riders. We're at 105 and we're holding for a minute. Keep a nice little bend in your elbows. Nice and relaxed. Nice high turnover here. Settle your breathing. "20 more seconds here. Nice and steady. And in 5 seconds, we're going to drop back to 95 RPM. In 3, 2, 1, find 95. If your gear's a bit high, you can bring that back down to that 3 or 4 out of 10 at 95 RPM. We're going to begin our final build in about 15 seconds from 95. In 5, 3, 2, 1. Building up from 95 to 110 plus plus. So the goal is 110. You can get higher and hold it for a minute. Awesome. Moving up, getting close to 100. We're 20 seconds in. Moving up through 100. We are 30 seconds in, getting up towards 105. Starting to feel a little sticky. Just focus on that leg speed and being nice and relaxed in your upper body. Moving up towards 110. We've got 5 more seconds. Then we're going to hold 110 or higher for a minute. In 3, 2, 1. 110. Settling in. Just find your comfort here. First 20, 30 seconds might feel a bit overreaching, and then you should settle in a little bit. Glancing down, looking up. My legs are over 110 right now. Just over 20 seconds to go. Hold on there. Try and keep it over 110 right through. Got just another 5 seconds. And 3, 2, 1. Right off. If you bring your RPMs back down to 90, you probably don't even have to make a gear change. So we'll take 2 minutes easy here. And then we're going to move into some single leg drills. So how do single leg drills come into play with an RPM set? Well, as we all know, most of us anyway, from various physio appointments or just how you walk or how your body feels, none of us are perfectly symmetrical. We tend to favor one side over the other. We have one hip slightly back from the other. One knee maybe bothers you. So working on single leg drills encourages that symmetrical balance while you're on the bike. And there's no better place to do that than when you're actually not moving on the road. So we work on single leg drills to focus on our power center, which is another word for our core. We want to keep our belly button and our center line in line with the center of our bike while we're doing our single leg drills. So we are engaging much more than our lower body for these exercises, which will ultimately help us when we are moving around the RPM numbers. So in 1 minute, we're going to begin our one-legged drills. And we're going to do 30 seconds on each side, 45 seconds on each side, and 60 seconds on each side. And then we'll get into our main set. So for anyone who is new to single leg drills, we click out one side and we dangle that foot right beside the pedal, not in front or behind, and we just let it dangle there. That is the most realistic place for your foot to be. If you're finding any of those time lengths too long, feel free to put your feet back on the pedals. We want our gearing to be quite easy, so below 100 for sure. Your RPMs are probably going to be in about the 70 range. So we're getting ready to go in 5 seconds. So let's find that nice easy gear. And we're going to clip out our left leg. Nice and smooth. We are listening for a quiet circle here. We don't want to hear any clunking of our foot, which means there's a gap in the pedal stroke. So you might feel a clunking over the top in particular. That is what we want to smooth out. And that is where both your hip flexor and your core engagement comes into play. So nice relaxed elbows, looking straight ahead. And both feet back on for 5 seconds. And right leg out. This is 30 seconds each side. Nice and smooth. You may notice a difference between your left and your right. Very common. Looking straight ahead, making sure your power center's engaged. That will hold your hips square over the saddle. And both legs back on. Few seconds here to get your pedal stroke back. And left leg out again. We're on for 45 seconds now. Nice and smooth. If you're following my leg speed, I'm at about 70. And my watts are very low, probably in that 70, 80 range. Nice and smooth. And 3, 2, 1. Both feet back on for a couple seconds. And your right leg out. Think about the pull up of the back of the circle as much as the pushing down. Smoothing out the pedal stroke often involves that pull through the bottom of the stroke where it feels like you're scraping your shoe on the ground, scraping some dirt off the bottom of your shoe, and then pulling right up the back side. Nice work. And 3, 2, 1, both feet back on. We're going for a minute on each side. And left leg out. 1 minute here on your right side. Hopefully you're clipped in, which is something you should always be prepared for, whether you're on an indoor trainer, but more importantly, when you're out on the road or on the trail. Clipping in isn't always a given. Being able to ride with your foot on top of the pedal is a good skill as well. Okay, are you finding that smooth circle? Maybe you have to make a slight gear adjustment. Maybe you have to speed up or slow down that leg speed. But do concentrate on that power center and turning that complete circle. Another 15 seconds to go. You may feel this more in your hamstring than anything else, or maybe even your shin. And both feet back on. And let's take our left leg out. 1 minute. Is one leg easier than the other? For me, I find my left leg more efficient than my right. I tend to feel my right shin when I do single leg drills. So I'm working on that. I'm playing around with my power and my cadence when I do those drills. Nice and relaxed in your elbows. Remember, your core is nice and engaged. We're almost there, 15 seconds to go. 1 minute is certainly not easy on one leg. And 5, 2, 1. Both feet back on. Find your easy gear. Bring your cadence back up to between 90 and 100. We have 2 minutes here, and then we'll get into our main set. Finding some equilibrium again after those one-legged drills. That was 5 full minutes on single leg. That's quite a long time. So, way to go. So in about 1 minute and 15, we're going to begin our RPM efficiency set. So, RPM efficiency, what that means is finding the sweet spot of where our RPMs and our wattage output, our power output, are the most efficient for our body. And what we do is we go through various levels of watts and cadences and find how that feels. So what we're going to do is we're going to start at 60% watts at 80 RPM for a minute. Then we're going to move up with cadence alone to 90 RPM for another minute. And then we're going to bring our gear back to 60% at 90, and we're going to keep on moving up like that. I'll walk you through that. RPM efficiency for long rides has been shown to be in the low 90s. So our focus through this 30-minute day is to give you some tactics for improving your RPM efficiency. So let's find your 60% and 80 RPM. So slowing that leg speed down to 80 RPM. And bringing in that 60%, that 6 out of 10. This is your all-day riding pace. You can talk a bit, but maybe not full conversation. But you could go at this pace for a long time. We're going to go in just over 20 seconds. So we're at your 60%, 80 RPM. We're on in 10. In 3, 2, 1. So 60% watts, 80 RPM. So it may surprise you that when we're doing higher RPMs, we're engaging our slow twitch muscles, which are better for our cardiovascular efficiency. So what the use of our slow twitch muscles are, they're our bigger muscles. They fatigue less slowly, they improve our blood flow, and they increase the oxygen flow through our blood. So ultimately for endurance, we want to be engaging these slow twitch muscles. Moving up into the higher RPMs is how we do that. So that's what we're doing today. In 10 seconds, we're going to increase our leg speed to 90 RPM without touching the gear. So we're coming from 80 RPM at 60%. In 3, 2, 1. Up to 90. We're here for a minute. That should bring your watts up into that 70-75% range most likely. Everyone will be a little bit different depending on your maximum power output. So we haven't touched that dial. We're at 90 RPM. Nice and smooth. Feeling a little more load on the legs. In 10 seconds, we're going to hold our 90 RPM and drop our watts back down to 60 using your gears. In 3, 2, 1. Let's find 60%, 90 RPM. And we're here for a minute. And now in your head and in your legs, comparing how 60% at 80 feels versus 60% at 90. Where do you feel you could ride all day? This is a pretty sweet spot right here. And then we're going to work on some overreaching, so this begins to feel even sweeter by the time you get to your longer summer rides. Let's move that RPM up to 100 now. Don't touch the gear. 100 RPM. If you feel your legs fatiguing, think about your power center. Let's draw that up and in. Relaxing those shoulder blades down your back. Centering over your saddle, just like we did on single-legged drills. 100 RPM, you haven't touched that dial. 20 seconds to go. Then we're gonna stay here at 100, but bring our watts back down to 60. In 3, 2, 1, 100 RPM, 60%. 6 out of 10 at 100 RPM. Just a little gear change, bring it back. So where are we now? Our legs feel like they're moving pretty fast with even a little less pressure on the pedals than at 90 and at 80. The higher the RPMs, the easier the gearing, which allows for that maximum efficiency of the leg turnover. There does come a point where the leg turnover is too high, but somewhere between 90 and 100 is what you should be aiming for as your default. So getting comfortable here while on the indoor bike is great. Now let's bring those RPMs up to 110. Up we go. We're almost to the top of this pyramid. 110 RPM, don't touch that dial. You're back up to that 70, 75, 7 out of 10-ish range, I'm sure. We're here for another 30 seconds. Come on, you got this, hang on. This is getting into our overreaching. This is our training stimulus. In 10 seconds, we're gonna stay at 110 and bring those watts back to your 60%. for the last minute. 3, 2, 1. 60%, 110. This is our last minute. We're not going up from here. All right, hang in there. This is a very crisp cadence. That's 30 seconds. 30 to go. And then you can check another box on your schedule. You've had an awesome session. Got 15 more seconds. Keep riding right through the top. '90's gonna seem like a breeze after this. In 3, 2, 1. You can ease right back. That is our workout for today. I am leaving you to cool down on your own as we've come to and through our 30 minutes. So enjoy the rest of your day. See you soon.